Okay, hi. Am I working? Okay, yeah. Looks like we're working. All right. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. my audio would not. I couldn't. My headset wouldn't connect, and then my mouse was doing some weird shit. I was just like trying to open up apps, and I was trying to get my Steam or my Stream Deck to load up, and it wasn't loading. And then my mouse all of a sudden it's just like it was like. Basically, I don't know. It was like giving me like 2 frames a second. I was just like, what is going on? All right, we should be up and running now. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, Bulls win. We are back from our day off. Watching the Bears, and unfortunately, that season came to an end. But Bulls season continues here as they are officially into their second half of the season since the last game. But yeah, Bulls win. This game against the LA Clippers, who are red hot right now, so pretty big, kind of big to see this. But Clippers were also on the second game of back-to-back, and I could definitely tell that they were. Harden didn't look like he had his legs tonight, but no excuses at the end of the day. The Bulls end up just going ahead and give a big old spanking to this Clippers team, mostly in that second quarter, man. That second quarter was everything. The Bulls were just lighting it up from three-point range and just couldn't miss. But the 2-3 zone defense honestly did a really good job tonight against the Clippers. It negated Harden from allowing him to run his typical pick-and-roll plays that he loves to do with Zubac. And it really did force others to have to like try to make some decisions, especially like you guys like Jordan Miller, for example, who I like him a lot. But he, forcing others to make decisions with the basketball is going to help you if you're the Bulls, and not letting Harden dictate the entire offense. So big props to the Bulls defense tonight. I think that they did a very solid job tonight overall against James Harden. And I was very impressed. We saw multiple defenders on Harden. We saw early in the game, oops, sorry, hit my mic. We saw Buzelis get 2 possessions on Harden, and he stayed in front of Harden on both possessions and forced 2 turnovers. Like, that was great to see. We also saw Io and Trey Jones also get some time on Harden tonight. And I think, honestly, everybody that took the time on Harden, they did a pretty solid job overall. So, I'm overall pleased with how the Bulls defense looked tonight, and trying to take away the biggest threat on the floor, obviously, and limiting, one of the best players we've seen in NBA history. Top 10 in scoring now for Harden, which is just mind-boggling to me. I can't believe James Harden's top 10 in scoring now, but in all time. But he's there. But yeah, they did honestly a hell of a job. I will say the third quarter did scare me from this Bulls team, because I'm just like, I was definitely really concerned looking at some of the numbers. I'm like, okay, the Clippers are not hitting their threes, but they're still getting into the paint. The Bulls, they got to keep up the three-point shooting. Or if the threes don't start falling, the Bulls got to adjust, and the threes just kept falling. So they were just fine. But we did see the Clippers make a run at the start of the third quarter. We saw Buzelis get benched a little bit, which was absolutely stupid by Donovan. Then Buzelis came back, and all of a sudden the Bulls look a hell of a lot better. Wow, look at that. It was overall pretty solid from then on out. Once Buzelis came back into the game, like mid-third quarter, the Bulls were able to negate that Clippers run that happened where they cut the lead to 7. And we saw then the Bulls just take off from there, and a lot of guys had a really good game tonight. First half, especially from Buzelis, led the team in scoring, had 14 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 blocked shots. Like, it was very, very solid half from Buzelis in the first half. We saw Io in the first half. I think that he played a very incredible first half. 11 points, 4 of 6 shooting, 3 for 3 from 3. And then as the game went on, we saw Vucevic have a pretty overall solid game, which is, I know it's been a little bit more consistent recently, so that's good to see from Vucevic. It's been kind of a whole, I don't know what I'm going to get from Vucevic every night type of season, but he's had some solid games recently, so this is good to see. I will say though, I still needed him to, on some nights where it's like, oh, still a double machine, he needs to still work on his efficiency. And then we saw Kobe White go and just have the heat check moment in the fourth quarter where he hit 4 threes in a row. So a lot of guys definitely contributed today, which is good to see. The passing all season long has remained consistent. Like even with Giddey out, this team is still has been doing a great job with their passing. Their assist percentage, honestly, when I wrote my midseason article, their assist percentage without Giddey was higher, honestly. So even without Giddey, this team is still passing the ball very effectively, and they're still trying to run in transition, which I sincerely do appreciate. The thing is, though, unfortunately, it's just that you're not going to make 25 threes in every single game. So, I don't expect to see this offense from here on out. No one should expect that, but I do hope that the Bulls find ways to kind of diversify their offense a little bit more, especially when Giddey gets back, because the Bulls have been heavily paint reliant, and even in this game where the Bulls hit a bunch of threes, like they also still had to get into the paint a lot. But I do think that we'll see maybe a little bit more consistency from the three-point line and more points from the free throw line moving forward from Giddey, especially with Giddey coming back, moving forward with this Bulls team. So, 2-game winning streak heading into Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game. I don't feel good about this next game against Minnesota, unless the Timberwolves are. I'm interested in seeing this, honestly. The Timberwolves they're playing tonight, so there's no way that they play on Wednesday. Okay, so I don't feel good about this one, unfortunately. But hey, nice 2-game winning streak. You took care of Brooklyn, so you finally got your first win against Brooklyn on Sunday when the Bears were playing. So, a lot of people were not at the game, and a lot of people didn't watch that game. So you finally took care of business against Brooklyn when they didn't have Michael Porter Jr., and they rested others as well, or others were out. So you finally got your first win against the Brooklyn Nets, which is ridiculous that it took till game 3, but sure. And you get a very solid win over the Clippers, who were on a 6-game winning streak here. Bulls are now back to 1 game under 500. Woohoo! But the biggest thing that I'm going to be looking at from these past 2 games, first and foremost, Kobe looks a hell of a lot better. That's a great sign. I think this is good to see from Kobe. His 3-point shooting is looking a lot better compared to what it was at the start of the season, and honestly just throughout the year. And so it's good to see that percentage not be like 31%. It was 33.8% heading into tonight's game. That's obviously going to increase from tonight's performance as well. However, I will just say this: like I don't want to take anything away from him. Hitting 4 threes in a row is not easy, but that did happen when the Clippers bench was all out there, and it's just a bunch of bench warmers. So. He had a good game against Brooklyn with the 3-point shooting. Another good game tonight. Now it's okay. Let's start being consistent. Moving forward with Kobe. Bouzalis, I need his production since Giddey's gone out, and also Kobe went out at that time. His production's been consistent. So once Giddey comes back, I don't want to see this man go back down to only 12 points per game and not getting the same amount of shots. Okay, he's averaged about 14 shots per game since Giddey's gone out. That should remain consistent, and honestly, I would love even more. Don't just take the ball away from him, but he's been very good without Giddey, and so when Giddey does come back, he needs to find a way to still stay consistent. So that falls on the coaching staff, and that also falls on the others. Okay, and specifically look at the backcourt, because I feel like that these two handle the ball a lot. Moving forward, I don't really know what exactly the Bulls plan to do with Trey Jones and Ayo Dosunmu, but these 2 guys are very good and very, very, very valuable right now in the trade market. I have already made my case on why I've been adamant about extending Dosunmu, because Kobe is just not a guarantee he comes back in free agency, but I honestly think that if I was Dosunmu's agent, I'm telling him not to even accept the Bulls extension right now. If the Bulls did happen to offer it to him, which the most the Bulls can offer to him in his first year is $16.66 million, about that. So I mean, if you're DeSumo's agent, like, you're probably telling him, like, no, you could go and test the open market, get 18 to 20 million per year, and be the starting shooting guard in some roster instead of you being on the bench and being the sixth man. Obviously, you know, there's the home part, right, which is that, like, DeSumo's from Chicago, so maybe he doesn't want to go anywhere else. But still, though, if he's looking to get paid, I'm probably telling him right now, yeah, don't accept any extension. The most the Bulls can offer him right now is in his first year of the extension is $16.66 million. Okay, that's, I mean, like, DeSumo's played at a starter level this season. He's shooting an insane rate from the field. Like, I mean, if I'm his agent, I'm just like, no, go test the market. I mean, you could probably, you know, he's probably telling me you're getting $20 million a year, honestly. And I wouldn't be shocked if he gets it. So, big decisions coming up. But Trey Jones, man, this man almost had a triple-double off the bench. Very incredible to see that, but we'll see about his role moving forward. This I could say is a statement game. How so? Because I'm going to make the argument that it's not a statement game in any sense. But how so? How is this a statement game? Let me hear it. Bulls have back-to-back blowouts. They keep thinking no moves are needed. I mean, I will say that I am definitely concerned that these back-to-back blowouts, especially being the Clippers, who are on the 6-game winning streak, like, I'm definitely concerned that this is making AK think, especially because we're getting back closer to 500, that it's like, oh, we don't need to do anything. I cannot take another just standstill deadline, okay? I know that the Bulls traded Levine last season, but that wasn't enough. I need to see more. Unless we move Kobe. Sorry, are you talking about the IO contract? I'm saying personally that it's like, I forget about moving Kobe or not. Like, I think you should just be re-signing, like trying to extend IO right now, because no matter what, it puts you in the best case scenario then heading into free agency. Because again, Kobe, like, you can't offer Kobe an extension that I think he's going to take, like, personally. I mean, unless he's going to change, like, what I think his asking price is going to be, like, you can't offer Kobe an extension that is worth his time. Like, it's basically 4 years, $84 million, okay? Like, if you're Kobe, like, there's no way in hell you're accepting that. At least what I would think. Now, he has to go and play well throughout the rest of the season to, you know, be worth, like, you know, maybe $100 million over 4 years. But either way, like, you know, I do think that right now his agent's telling him, no, don't accept any extension that's being offered to you. So, in my opinion, then, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could get IO to accept it. And at this point, maybe not. But my point is that if you could get IO to accept that extension, then you head into the offseason knowing that you at least still have IO DeSumo. So that means then that, like, if Kobe just happens to leave for nothing, right? Because Kobe could just leave for $5 million if he wanted to, right? Like, there's nothing, you can't, like, outbid anybody else. Like, he could just leave for less money if he wanted to, right? Then that's what happens, but at least you still have IO. If Kobe, though, decides to come back, then IO to me is still on a tradable contract, and you could also then go trade IO. Now, it still does come down to, you know, Kobe's play has to be significantly better down the stretch here, because, like, you know, 2 games for me is not going to, like, change that this has been a pretty rough season for him. Like, this is still overall, like, you know, even with these 2 games, it's been a pretty rough season for Kobe. So this you know, next 2 weeks here heading into the trade deadline, extremely important. But the rest of the play for his season is going to dictate the contract he's going to want. So he's going to have to do a lot more than just have 2 good games for me. Back-to-back blowouts. Well, one's against Brooklyn, who did not play Michael Porter Jr., and you just lost to that team on Friday. So I personally don't put much stock into that one because they decided to rest their best player, and you've lost to that team twice this season. This one, I'm going to give the Bulls a lot more credit in this win. And it's because the Clippers have been on a hot streak. I don't think it's a statement win by any means. Like, if the Bulls can go and beat Minnesota on Thursday, that's a statement win to me. Assuming that they're fully healthy, that would be a statement win to me. because that team is significantly better than the Clippers, and even with the Clippers on their hot streak, the Clippers are still under 500 as we speak. So that'll be a statement win for me, is if the Bulls can go beat Minnesota or can go beat Boston in these next two games here. But to me, these are not statement wins. I give the Bulls a lot of credit for what they did today, because I think what they did against Harden was pretty significant, and I think their defense, their 2-3 zone defense, has been like slowly getting better. I did see some mistakes today, but it's slowly kind of like getting to the point where I'm like, okay, like I understand like what exactly I should be looking for in this 2-3 zone defense from the Bulls, which means that everyone's communicating properly and they understand where to be in the 2-3 zone. So that's good to see. And I do give the Bulls a lot of credit for, they shot horrifically from 2-point range to start this game. And so they knew that with the Clippers playing a lot slower, and they're just older, that if we could play fast, pace and space, shoot threes, play fast, have quick possessions, they should be able to outrun this Clippers team, and they did just that tonight. So they did a good job of taking care of business overall, and taking advantage of the Clippers, back-to-back nights, and they are a lot older. So good job overall. I think with the game plan tonight against Harden was very solid. And then the overall game plan to outrun this Clippers team, which the Bulls have done all season long, but there's an extra heavy emphasis to like drive kick tonight. And it was very, very good to watch. So solid for the Bulls overall. Again, though, just saying, like, I don't think this is a statement win personally. That's just my opinion at the end of the day. But it is good to see them playing a little bit better basketball compared to some previous games. Like that L against Brooklyn is just not good. It's not good to see on Friday that we saw last week. Here's Harden's numbers. So again, 9-25 from the field. I'm more focused on this number. To keep Harden to 6 turnovers, or to make Harden commit 6 turnovers, is incredible. I think multiple defenders were the reason for this, and they deserve a lot of credit for what they did tonight. And then this number is also huge. Only 3 free throws. A man that gets to the free throw line his entire career, you limit him to only 3 free throws. Huge. Free throws also slow the game down, right? So if you can limit this team who want to play slow to not shoot many free throws and allow them to slow down the game, huge. This is absolutely significant. So this is a big key factor for the Bulls to keep their pace throughout the game. John Collins had a hell of a game, though. I won't lie. This man, his overall just shooting performance was crazy to watch, but 0 rebounds is weird. Yeah, I think that's honestly it. The Bulls did a good job overall against Zubac, but Zubac has also just had a very bad year for his standards, or at least what we expected to see this season, because he had such a great year last season, and so then to see what happened this year is just weird. But good job overall limiting him after like the first quarter. The first quarter was a little bit rough, but we did a good job after that, I think, when it came to Zubac. Got a play to show you guys. Let's see if NBA.com has already loaded in the plays tonight. Oh, they did. Perfect. Okay. Let me go to the third quarter here. And I wanted to show you guys a play that it didn't exactly work out for the Bulls, what I'm about to show you here, but I think it's a very nice overall idea. It's a new kind of twist in the offense that I'm like, hey, that's different. Let's continue to see these like new things, especially now that we're past the halfway mark. I know that the All-Star break's coming up here soon, but even before that, like trying to find a way to diversify your offensive sets is always a good thing. So I'm interested in seeing if maybe the Bulls can continue to do something like this, but it's going to be on them if they want to do it. But this play didn't exactly result into anything off of like the play design itself, right? I'm also like just looking at the play design, like it didn't really turn into anything. Now the possession ended well, but it wasn't because of what the Bulls did on this exact play that it ended in a good layup here for Ayo. But I'm just going to show you this new kind of wrinkle for the Bulls here that like we haven't really seen too much of this, and I'm like, hey, this is cool. I like seeing these sort of actions that we can add in to our 5-out offense, everyone's able to drive and kick on the team except maybe for the center. But even like Vucevic and Smith have done a decent job with that. And so how can you get guys moving a little bit more and create what Billy Donovan would call as randomness? So let's watch this play here. When I was looking at this play initially, I was like, okay, this is maybe potentially, you're going to see both guys come up here and set a little screen or set, double screen here for Trey Jones to come off of. Instead, though, that's not what we did, right? So Io is actually just going to clear out. And he's going to basically this is not technically Iverson, but he's basically just decided to go over here. But it was a little trick here for the defense. Is like, oh, maybe it's like, okay, here comes the double screen here, and they're going to potentially get ready to switch all the actions that they want to switch, right? But instead, though, the Bulls did not do that, and they went ahead and did this, where Io clears out, and here comes Buzelis, okay? And this little action here is just a tiny little thing, right? But again, if Io's looking is like, oh, we're about to set like two screens here, then everyone's thinking to themselves like, okay, when the double screen happens, then this person switches onto this guy, this person switches onto this guy, right? And so then all of a sudden now the Clippers defense has to quickly adjust, right? And it's just a single away drag screen from Buzelis, which is good to see him setting screens, by the way. We don't see this too often unless he handled the ball on the possession maybe. So single away drag scheme from Buzelis, which is great to see. And it allows Trey Jones to go ahead and try to get a step here on a pick and roll action and drive to the basket. Now, unfortunately, this didn't result into anything. Unfortunately, Trey Jones did get a step on Harden eventually, but it's a little bit too hard of an angle for him to get this up, so he has to throw it back out. Now, keep in mind what the Bulls just did here. We talked about their rotations within the offense. That's always been important. Usually, okay. What you've seen the Bulls do is if someone drives right, then everyone rotates right, okay? Now, that's not what happens in this possession here. You actually see Okoro decides not to do that, and he decides to move up. But you see Io is moving, and Herter is gonna maybe move here, I think, in a second. I think that's what it is. But it is just, a little bit different level look here for the Bulls on this specific pick and roll play. But you see here, Herter then makes himself available on this play to get the pass from Trey Jones. And then, so, nothing really came out of this besides, you're going to see the Bulls throw it to Io here. And so, you could maybe argue with me, hey, yeah, this created this shot because this guy had to come on over. Batum had to maybe help on the drive a little bit, but he decided not to. Sure. But overall, it probably didn't really fully help. But it's just a new kind of, wrinkle to the Bulls offense that I haven't seen in a bit. So it's cool to see. Io then, if you're wondering how the possession ends, he just gets the ball at the top of the key. He sees Nick Batum on him, who's slow-footed at his age. And Brook Lopez even kind of came out on him, but he just drives past both defenders here and lays it up and in. So cool little wrinkle. I like to see this from the Bulls offense, and just kind of, we haven't talked about the Bulls offense in a while here because we've been so focused on the terrible defense, unfortunately, from this team. Unfortunately, the Bulls offense has also not been very good this season for the most part. And it's gonna, the numbers are gonna help a little bit tonight. But heading into tonight, sorry, my mouse is giving me some issues tonight. I don't know why. But heading into tonight, the Bulls offense has been that's not the Bulls offense. Here we go. Bulls offense is ranked 18th here. And so even before this, though, it was ranked in the 20s at the midseason point. So yeah, it's gonna go up a little bit more, but that's it's still below. That's still below the bottom half of the league. In terms of points per game, the Bulls are here, but that's because of our extra pace. Because of our extra possession. So it's this isn't too bad. But I definitely would like to see the Bulls to get a little bit more efficient on the offensive end. Tonight's a great start, obviously. Hitting your threes is an insanely good start. But this number, I would like to see this increase. Because I do think that this needs to go up a little bit, all things considered, because guess what? Our defense is 24th in the league. So, yeah, this is not a good number at all. This is unfortunately been just kind of stuck here for a while now, but I'm definitely liking new wrinkles within the offense to try to help this team kind of create some points. I love it, and hope to see more of it. I'll be showing you guys anything that I spot within the game that I think could help this Bulls team, or new things that they decide to pull out. Other thing that I do want to show, let's see here. God, my freaking mouse is giving me a whole bunch of issues. Ooh, Rockets took the lead here. That's crazy. Let's go back to here. So I want to show the Bulls 2-3 zone defense that they started to run against Harden. Actually, I might have to actually go to like the recording for this one. But I want to show like how the Bulls just like were able to effectively, like, they kind of did a little bit of a different wrinkle. So it was cool to see. It's hard for me to explain, which is why I just had to like show it to you guys. What the hell? Hold on, sorry. Oh, sorry, my mouse is just, this is just problematic here. Hold on. Nope. Okay, next play. Come on. Sorry, I'm getting there. Oh, come on. Work with me. Give me, sorry, I'm trying to get to the third quarter and it won't let me. Here we go. Okay, so let's watch how the Bulls go ahead and defend Harden on this possession. Okay, there we go. So this is with the 2-3 zone defense that the Bulls have been running out now. So you're gonna see here's the 2-3 zone if you're wondering, and you're gonna very quickly notice like, okay, like it's 2-3. Okay, so like obviously there's this, and then you have these three guys back here. But watch how Trey Jones is gonna come up and help on this pick and roll action here, and this does a couple of things. Okay, so first and foremost, like one of the things that teams try to do when it gets a 2-3 zone is that they try to activate the corner defenders, right? And the reason being is that if you're able to activate this player, right? Let's just use Kevin Huerter as an example here. Like if you're able to activate him with a player that's like up here, so you're forcing Kevin Huerter to come on up, then it opens up the corner, right? And the Bulls have had issues with this even within their 2-3 zone defense. It's like teams recognize it and like, okay, well, we're gonna have an action where we put someone in the corner, but we're gonna have three guys like up near like the top of the key, and so it activates then both defenders at the top of the key, but then they need help then trying to guard someone like over here, right? So that player then steps up, but then that leaves someone in the corner. So you're going to see here, like, Harden's going to try to activate this, right? You're going to see this with a Zubac screen being set up high. And instead of having Huerter come on up and give support for Kobe, or even Vucevic having to come up here and break his zone, you're going to see Trey Jones is going to come on over here instead and pick him up to help out Kobe, okay? So here comes Trey Jones's help, and so basically the Bulls then in their two, which is the two guards, right? It's your two guards up here. They basically just switch, right? And so again, like usually in zones, like you usually just see guys like they have like an area to man, right? Like you stay in that area on the floor, and if someone comes into that area, then you take that guy. But instead of having like Kobe like try to like take Harden like by himself, you see that Trey Jones is, instead of staying over here, he comes on over to help on this Harden pick and roll. And so Harden decides to try to come off the screen. Well, Trey Jones is now there to meet him, right? So it's like effectively a switch. But obviously you're not switching like Kobe on the Zubac. You're switching the two places that these two players are playing their zone defense. So now Trey Jones is in the zone, is where Kobe usually was at the start of this possession here. So then you see that they tried to take advantage of it by throwing to Kobe Sanders over here, and Kobe, who started here, right, our Kobe White then is now here. So they effectively decided, okay, yeah, Trey Jones, Kobe White, you just switch it, and the Clippers get nothing out of that from that initial main action, right? Kobe's here in front of his man. They decided to drive it, and the Bulls almost get the turnover, right? Like, this is good from the Bulls. This is good innovation to kind of cover up for their weaknesses. Collins probably, he doesn't make that actually, but this is a good way to kind of make up for their lack of like zone coverage, because zone defense is like, we've seen like teams like the Raptors use it. I think even the Pacers have kind of used it, but teams that have used it, like, you see why it's so effective. It's because they have lengthy wingspans, they have length all over the floor, and so guys, like, if you're playing zone, like, they just kind of reach out with their wingspans. They can take up a lot of ground because of their wingspans. The Bulls don't have that luxury, right? The Bulls aren't able to just have, like, put a guy in a zone defense, be like, okay, yeah, be effective in this area, and then he can cover up for anything, right? The Bulls have to kind of make decisions like, okay, well, if our 2-3 zone defense, if it gets broken down at the top of the key, who's going to come over to help in that sort of scenario? And the Bulls innovated on this possession, and it worked out really well, right? Like, this is good to see. This is something that I've never really kind of like considered, because I'm always like so worried about like what's going to happen here. But this is good. Like, this is really cool to see by the Bulls, to be like, okay, well, what we're going to do instead on this little pick and roll, instead of having Herter step up to help on this and leaving maybe Dunn wide open and putting Vucevic in a pretty rough spot, you instead just have Trey Jones, who's like already kind of shading over to help on this initial action, to help on the Harden pick and roll and pick him up off the pick and roll, and Kobe has to then run and take his spot instead, which then prevents Buzelis from having to come over and help and give support on this, and doesn't leave John Collins wide open in the corner here. Sorry, my mouse is giving me issues. So very good by the Bulls to see this. I will say, though, that if Kawhi Leonard was playing tonight, I don't know how exactly this would have worked out, but you're dealt the cards you're dealt, and the Bulls did a great job with what they were dealt with tonight. And I think this is a great job innovating on the defensive end to help your team be put in a better position overall. Slam Viper Strike. I've seen so many NBA fans chomping the bit for Io, and this game is exactly why. Oh, brother. I think every NBA team, honestly, a contending team, should be calling by Io to assume, like, right now. He is honestly like one of the most perfect role players on the perimeter. Assuming you need guard help, or perimeter help, I should say. Like, he is one of the best players right now that is maybe potentially available. Which is like, that's good for the Bulls if they do decide to trade him. Like, if that's going to be great to drive up his trade value. The only thing, though, is that I don't know how the Bulls are going to operate with this. Event ended, but the recording should be available. But I will just say this: I'm concerned with how the Bulls are going to maybe operate with this potential Ayo Dosunmu trade. Like, for example, let's say the Bulls actually do get offered, like, like, they actually get like an unprotected first round pick and maybe something else. Like, I mean, even myself as the biggest Ayo Dosunmu fan, like, I have a hard time turning that down, honestly. If a team offers you like a unprotected first and like a protected first as well, like, oh god, like, it's hard to turn down. I'm just concerned, though, that the Bulls would be like, oh, we need 2 first round picks, and like, that to me is just an unreasonable asking price. Like, 2 unprotected first round picks for Ayo, who's on an expiring contract. Like, there's no way you're getting that, at least in my opinion. So I'm just concerned, like, basically it's like they're gonna be like asking for like too much, and then they don't end up trading him when like it was actually like a really solid deal. But yeah, I'm definitely like, I think teams should be absolutely chomping at the bits right now to go and get him. His contract is very team friendly for this season, and he's a perfect complementary to any star player. Like, I genuinely believe that Io, put him on a lot of contending teams. He's going to really help. He's going to really help any team because he's a player that doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. When he does take shots, he's uber efficient, especially from the guard position. His 3-point shot, like, I understand he's had ups and downs, and like, we kind of called it this year that he was going to have a good 3-point shooting year. I didn't expect this, but every odd year in his career, so like years 1, 3, and 5, this is year 5 for him, it's a good 3-point shooting year. Every even year, for some reason, years 2 and 4 for him has been a down 3-point shooting year. But I honestly think that he's too good of a 3-point shooter for what I've seen this season, that I'm not concerned it's going to go back down to like a low 30s%. Like, I think it's going to stay like above like 37% or above, honestly, moving forward. But he's shooting basically 45% from 3 this season, which is just unreal. And his shooting percentage overall just continues just to climb again. After he had a couple rough games since when he came back with that thumb issue, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Yeah, I personally think he has outgrown this team. I truly think he is too good for a middling team, and I don't blame you. Like, I think that every role player or everything that needs a role player help or two-way role player help, like, he's like the perfect guy right now. Like, it's a very good person to go ahead and go after. Again, no, I'm scared of the Bulls. Like, I'll just say this: if the Bulls get offered 2 unprotected first-round picks for Io, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's say they do get it, like, I'm gonna be losing my mind if the Bulls don't take that deal, and that's coming from me, who's like the biggest Io DeSumo fan. So that's all I'm just gonna say. What do you think they're going to pay him? Well, I just think he was injured a year 4. That is fair with year 4, yeah. And if not injured, then off balance because of the injury. Maybe that was the case. But either way, though, like, I'm still in Io's case, like, I'm still seeing 3 years of good shooting, and even in the years that he did not have the best 3-point percentage, he still shot basically 50% from the field. So, in my opinion, I'm just like, okay, well, even in like bad year shooting, bad 3-point shooting years for Io, like, he's still shooting 50% from the field. Like, I'm like, I still want that. Like, you're still giving me impact even when you're not shooting the 3-point shot the best. Like, you're still basically shooting 50% from the field as a guard. Like, who wouldn't want that? I mean, this is the reason why I'm saying, like, he's like the perfect role player for a lot of teams right now. But yeah, I do think that he might have outgrown this Bulls team. It's going to be sad if he does go, but I mean, I think you could get some tremendous value for him right now if you decide to trade him. I mean, the Minnesota Timberwolves have been interested in Kobe apparently, and we're now getting some reports that they've been interested in all 3 of the tradable guards on the Bulls roster, in Kobe, Io, and Trey. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where Io goes, because it makes a lot of sense, honestly, with what the Timberwolves can offer, and like Baron J, and maybe some draft capital as well, and they have a contract that could work in, and you can trade for Io, and it wouldn't mess up either team's cap books. Like, it works out well. So you asked about paying. So again, here's how this goes for Io's contract situation here. Like, again, I've been advocating the Bulls should be looking to extend him, and now I'm like, it might be too late, like, for that option anyway, because he's just been so damn good this season. So this is what's gonna have to be here. So again, here's the Bulls salary cap sheet. Here's Io's cap hold, right? Now that's not what he is potentially going to be getting in an extension, but basically bring up calculator. Here's the extension for Io, and this is the most the Bulls can offer him. Okay, so from what I can see from Basketball Reference, this could change, okay? But what I can see from Basketball Reference is that the estimated average salary in the NBA this season is $11.9 million. It's around there, okay? Extensions, well, the way they work is that you can offer up to 140% of either off of the estimated average salary or off the player's previous or his last year of his contract. Obviously, you take the higher. So with Ios, you take 11.9 because he's only making $7.5 million this season. So you take 11.9 times it by 1.4. Here is the first year salary for Io. Now, you would raise this by 8%, and that would be the next year's salary, and then 8% again. And so, just general numbers, you times this by 4, you get about $66 million. It's more than that. It's closer to probably 4 years, $70 million, right? I don't know the exact number. I don't have the math done in this, but that's what I mean. I would right now, if I'm the Bulls, I am 100% offering this to Io right now. If I were the Bulls, and I don't think it's a bad decision. And I've talked about this. I've talked about why I do this, but I mean, first and foremost, his play has been insane. But also, again, it's because Kobe, if you're wondering about Kobe's contract, so to bring back the calculator, right? Kobe's making $12.88 million this season, so 12.88 times 1.4, you get $18 million in his first year, which again, I don't think Kobe's going to accept that. Sorry, that is wrong. 18.032, and he times that by 4. So this is basically the offer. It's again maybe a little bit closer to 80 million, but 4 years, 80 million for Kobe, around-ish there. It's a little bit less than 80, I think. I don't think Kobe's gonna accept this. So if you're Kobe, right, because you just saw Josh Giddey get 4 years, 100 million, right? Why would you accept this deal? So getting locking up Io right now would then really help this situation here, because if Kobe does leave in free agency, right, then you still have Io, right? Then Io's your starting shooting guard next season, or whoever it is. I could still come off the bench, but if you're paying him $16 million a year, maybe start him. But even if Kobe does come back, then Io still, in my opinion, $16.6 million, that's still very tradable for what Io has been doing. That's about $1.5 million more than the mid-level exception. So I'm personally for it. Just lock up Io, and we'll see. But if the Bulls can get a massive trade offer right now for Io, you're definitely doing that first. All I'm going to say is, right now, what's really interesting to me that I've been looking at with Io, first and foremost, his play, again, has just been incredible. But, he's starting to now get some steals again, which is something that, he kind of has been a little bit tapered off of in, the last 2 years. But, nothing to his fault. He's still a pretty solid on-ball defender. I think his defense has been better recently. In January, his defense has been very solid compared to the start of the season when it was just kind of okay. But Io in his first 2 years was one of the best point of attack defenders in the league. The metrics showed it. I do think that it's not been as good the last 3 or 2.5 plus years. But sorry, I'm trying to pull up his per 36 numbers and it won't let me. But if he's gonna play like this, okay, and again, I don't know what's gonna happen here, but let's say Kobe decides to leave, right? I'm just gonna go Basketball Reference. Io's per 36 numbers, which I'm not saying that he would average this, okay, but his per 36 numbers are kind of ridiculous when you look at it. This is just, it's just per 36, but you're talking about 20 points per game on 50%, 45, 86 shooting, a steal per game, 5 assists, and then the biggest thing to me still, which is just insane to see this in Io's career because he's just been so good with this, but he doesn't turn it over still. he doesn't. He's still like, even like throughout his time, and like I even would say that he's had the ball more this year than before. Like maybe not compared to his rookie year, but like still, like he still has the ball a lot, and like he still doesn't turn it over. Like that's the thing with Io that I've always respected, is that like no matter like kind of what position where he is, like, you know, he's kind of like played a lot of point guard in his rookie year with us, but I definitely say that, you know, in most of his time here he's been like the combo shooting guard or even small forward, honestly, for the Bulls. But he's been a little bit more off ball, but like you still see him handling the ball a lot, and like he still isn't turning it over. It's just not something he does. Again, nearly 50% shooting on every single season. Like, it's 49% as a guard. He's very good. And career highs in 3-point percentage at times, and makes this season at just an insane rate. Yeah, I mean, even this 2-point percentage, honestly, is kind of shocking to me. Like, I'm not used to seeing Io shoot this low from 2-point range, so, but like either way though, like he's still shooting 50% from 3 overall from the field. So yeah, I'm just saying that if Kobe doesn't come back, that like you might have your starting shooting guard on the roster. And I'm not saying he's gonna get 20 points per game. I'm just saying that like if he could give you 16 points per game as a starting shooting guard, still, you know, shoot it good, play good defense, attack the rim as he does, you know, maybe increase the steals a little bit more. That's a quality player to me, as your starting shooting guard, especially in a league that needs two-way players with length and athleticism and versatility. I mean, Io can guard 1 through 3, and he's done that, you know, his entire time with the Bulls. He's guarded multiple positions. So I'm just saying, I'm just pointing it out that, hey, this is an option. I'd be happy with paying Io. Not gonna lie, I've been loving how he has gotten craftier while going downhill. His ball handling this season has gotten better. Like the way he has like this, I almost call it like a street ball move. I don't know what else to really call it, but it's the heavy like Allen Iverson like crossover. But it's like it looks more street ball. That's all I can like really kind of like term it as. It's just because like, you know, you see like those street ball videos with like heavy crossovers, but like he has like these moves now that I'm like, oh, that's new. I didn't like, Io was very much like, you know, his dribbling is like in a box usually, but like he's extended out where like he has like a big like, you know, right to left crossover that he does that like crosses hesitation. It's very awesome to watch. And I do think that also, like, we've been calling for a float game from Io, and we're seeing it recently. Like, his floater is, like, a legitimate shot that he can maybe kind of go to, especially if, like, there's a bigger defender down there. Because, like, I will say, he, as good as he usually is from 2-point range, like, he has gotten blocked at the rim a little bit more often than usual this season. But I do think that, one, his 3-point shooting then helps counteract that, but two, the floater game is very important, and he's finding his touch a little bit with it. So it's just another way for him to get to the rim. I'm not too confident with his play scaling up with more usage because he plays better off the bench, so that tells me he is limited by his motor. So it's weird again with Io because like last season, for example, he was better. He was significantly better starting. Don't know what it was, but like, so like, I mean, here's his starting numbers this season. I mean, it's still very good. Like him starting, he's basically averaging what I said like he would average, like 16 points per game. I would like to see this number go up if he's starting. But like, yeah, 60 points per game and like typical great shooting, right? Last season though, I don't know what it was last season. Again, like the whole injury thing got to him, but last season he was significantly better in the starting lineup, and I mean like by every aspect. Like his 3-point shooting was significantly better. His bench production was much worse off the bench. His bench shooting was much worse off the bench. Like it just, or sorry, his 3-point shooting is much worse off the bench. Like I don't know what it was. But obviously, you know, he was kind of in and out of the starting lineup last season as well. But for whatever reason, he just could not get it going off the bench. This year, obviously, he's been incredible off the bench. But yeah, I don't know. It's just odd with him. So does come down to like, what do you deem him? Do you deem him as like the sixth man on the roster, or do you deem him as like, no, he's like one of the best 5 players on the roster on a winning team moving forward? That's going to be the discussion with him moving forward. And to me personally, like, I think that with his efficiency, with the way that I look at the NBA now, his efficiency, I think, would make him one of the top 5 players on a roster, assuming that his play does scale up. And I'm not saying to 20 points per game, but I'm saying to like 16, 17 points per game. But his efficiency could go down if he's, shooting more shots. Like, it could go down. There is a couple of new next steps that he would have to probably take, but I mean, right now, honestly, I would argue that he's very clearly one of the top 5 players on this Bulls roster right now. And I don't think that's honestly much of an argument for what we've seen this season. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what happens moving forward. That's all I'm going to say, because like I do wonder what his role would be like if he was just starting every day. But who knows? I'm heavily intrigued what the Bulls are going to do, but I'm also scared. Because again, like, if the Bulls get offered multiple first-round picks unprotected, like, you're trading that man. You need to do what's right. Like, that 2 first-round picks, you 100% are trading Io. However, I also what I don't want them to do is that, let's say they decide to keep him, but like, you don't even offer him an extension. You're just like, no, don't worry, we're just going to play it out in unrestricted free agency. He's coming back. He's from Chicago. We don't have to worry about it. Like, I don't. Again, we won't really know how like that would all work out. Like we won't really fully know if, like, let's say that did happen. Like, let's say the Bulls are like, no, we're just not going to offer him an extension or whatever. Like, the Bulls could be offering an extension right now, and we don't know about it. But all I'm going to say is just, like, if you're planning on keeping him, but you're just like, yeah, we're not going to try to like extend him before he gets unrestricted free agency, and then like you're really going to be risking, like, oh yeah, he could just leave, or even potentially drive up his value to where it's like $20 million a year. Like, I'd be nervous. So I would be pretty upset if that's how they're going to handle the situation, where I'm just like, no, right now it's either you should look to trade him or you look to extend him, and you need to try everything in your possible will to try to extend him if you're going to be looking to keep him. If he still just declines the extension, okay, you did your job, right? You did your job. You just said, all right, it's all right. Maybe you decide to look at the trade market again because he decided to turn down the extension. I'm just pointing that out there. But what I don't want the Bulls to do is just be like, oh, don't worry, we have all these expiring contracts. We'll take care of them all in free agency. And then free agency hits, and suddenly Io's gone on the first day. Like, that's what happens, right? So, the Bulls got to handle this right. That's all I'm just going to say. Which they got to do with everything right now. I feel like their margin of error is not very high with the way I look at the cap sheets right now. Especially now with the new CBA, it's kind of rough. But like, for example, I don't know how the Bulls kind of view Kevin Huerter, but like, Io should be 100%. If you're going to look to keep guys, like, Io is 100% higher on the list of like, oh, we need to retain him versus over Kevin Huerter. And same thing over Collins. Same thing like over Javon Carter and Dalen Terry, obviously. But Kobe, like, who knows right now? That's all. It's been a rough year for Kobe. Really good 2 games in a row. These last 2 games, but he's going to have to really figure some stuff out. Saw a report of them still going after Zion. So Joe Coley reported that it's been made clear apparently that the Pelicans are not trading Zion. And I don't know if Coley was the one to report that, or if he got word from someone else, or he used someone else's report. But basically, though, what I've read is that the Pelicans are not looking to trade Zion. The Bulls are very heavily interested in Misi, apparently. That's interesting to me. Like, that's not a guy that I was just like, oh yeah, the Bulls will kind of look at him like, good rookie year, not a good. He hasn't had a good year this year overall. But Zion, to me, I just unfortunately just think it's a pipe dream at this point. Like, and I mean that in terms of like what the Bulls can like maybe not have to give up and still get him. Like, for example, if the Bulls give up the Portland pick, like I'm all for giving up the Portland pick for Zion. That makes total sense to me. Like, yeah, if you can give up the Portland pick and some expiring contracts to get the Pelicans some cap relief and a pick out of it potentially that could convey, throw in maybe a couple seconds, like, yeah, sure, I'm all for it. Like, to me that's not trading much value, and you're trading your expirings and you're using your expirings to actually go and get a guy. I'm not for trading any of our own picks, though. I think that's unreasonable at this point, with Zion's health, and I think there's just a much better use of those picks, personally, whether it's drafting or trading for someone else. I'd rather not use the picks. So, the Bulls going after Zion, it's not the worst idea in the world, but I'm just like, you better not give up anything important. Like, if I give up Ayo Dosunmu in a Zion Williams trade, I'm not going to be very happy overall, because I feel like you could have used Ayo Dosunmu in a different trade that makes a lot more sense for the team. But if I'm trading Zach Collins, Kobe White, maybe, Kevin Huerter for Zion Williamson and Misi, like, and the Portland pick, forgot that. Sorry, in the Portland pick to New Orleans, I can maybe be convinced into it being okay. I'd probably like to retain Kobe for something different, but yeah. That Portland pick might convey actually this year, since Jimmy Butler went down and Portland has been playing well. So I am very much aware that Portland pick could convey. I am definitely aware of it, and that's the reason why, like, it for all intents and purposes right now, like, to me, keeping your draft picks is like probably the best idea overall. However, I'm just like, in the way that I look at it is like, your picks are still more valuable than that Portland pick right now, at least in my opinion. Yeah, there's a chance that Portland pick actually has a good chance to convey this season. However, though, it's going to be out of the lottery. So, no matter what, like, to me at least, your picks are still more valuable. So if I had to give up a pick, right, it'd be the Portland pick. So that's just the way I look at it. But would I be upset if the Bulls just didn't trade for Zion, kept their picks this season? Portland pick also conveys. Oh, I'd be very happy. Like, that'd be very good overall. And if the Bulls can add to that draft capital, I'd be even more happy if that were the case. Let's talk Misi, though. This is weird to me, because I feel like if you're the Pelicans, there's like honestly no reason to trade him either. I get that like Queen is there, but I feel like they kind of have to figure some stuff out. God, my mouse is just... Hold on, sorry. I'm gonna restart my mouse. Yeah, there we go. I know Queen is like, maybe been a big hit here, but I honestly feel like you should just keep both guys. Like, the Pelicans are still trying to figure their shit out, so like I feel like trading any of your young players doesn't really make too much sense, honestly. But I could be talked into it maybe, of why they would do it. But I'm just trying to figure out like what the Bulls are gonna be sending out here. I mean, as you can see, we got a lot of guys that are trade candidates on this roster, so if the Bulls do nothing, I'm gonna lose my mind. God, would it actually be like Dalen Terry in like some seconds? Like, that's gonna honestly piss me off. I do not believe in Queen. I also don't believe in Queen. I'm gonna be dead serious. Like, I know there's a lot of hype around him, and like, yes, like, has he obviously outplayed Asenge because Asenge has not gotten time due to injury and such? Yes, but the Queen's lack of defense, like, and his lack of 3-point shot right now, I'm just watching him as a undersized center. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have much faith in him moving forward. Like, great passing, sure, but I mean, I feel like there's a lot of bigs in this league that are pretty decent passers that just don't get the credit. The more I see him play, the more I feel like he's the perfect archetype to be all hype. I'm honestly in agreement with that. Like, could I see him maybe being like an alright starter? Yeah. But to me, he seems to be like more on like the Vucevic path, but like not all-star. Vucevic, like just like kind of like solid Vucevic path, like kind of what we've seen from Vucevic in the Chicago years, like maybe that. That's assuming he gets a 3-point shot though, which I don't know, honestly. Okay, sorry, hold on. Let me try to figure out this. Okay, if the Bulls are trading for Messi, who else are they looking to get here? Because, like, for example, like of all the people, these are the players that we know that are not available from New Orleans: Zion, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen. All these guys are not available when it comes to the Pelicans. They've come out and said like these guys are not available via trade, which then makes me start to consider something here that I'm a little bit concerned about. God, I'd hate the Bulls if they did this. I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh, by the way, Herb Jones is also not available. I don't know if I said that. God, I would hate the Bulls if they decide to do this sort of deal. But it'd be like their like reasons for like cashing in on something. But like, boy, I sometimes hate my brain because I can figure things out that I don't want to see. Can we sneak in Dale and Terry maybe? No, we cannot. Okay. I don't know why this says 1 through 8, by the way. This is just wrong. Also, the Bulls don't have their Portland pick in here. So Spot Track is a little bit off on some things. There's no way, right, that it's like, here, let me pull up New Orleans' cap sheet. Like, would New Orleans be like, oh, we need a pick for this, even though like DeJounte Murray has not played for them all season? He's out with a torn ACL. Was it ACL, right? But it would offer some cap relief for like the next 2 seasons, because it's just like, okay, well, you know, you get $32 and $30 million off your books if you're the Pelicans, and I feel like they're just gonna try to go young. No, it's Achilles injury. God, I always mix it up with DeJounte. It is an Achilles injury. Okay. Asenge is also never going to be a high usage guy. All Asenge needs to do is develop a 3-point shot, be a defender, and that's a good contributor. I agree with that 100%. But I personally think that Asenge is going to be more than just like 3-point shooter on offense and, you know, just solid defender. Like I really do think Asenge is going to be like a dynamic like offensive player. It might be more like, you know, I know I want Pascal Siakam. I don't think we're gonna get Pascal Siakam out of him offensively, but like it would definitely be a little bit more towards like how like OG Anunoby kind of gets his points. Like OG's developed his driving game and his ability, like a little bit of a pull-up game as well, even though he's definitely more off ball, right? But like that's the kind of way I envision it. And then obviously a good defense, which is going to be very important. My only thing though is that I am definitely a little bit concerned with this thing. It's just like his height does put him in a weird spot where it's like, is he, you know, if he's not a center, he has to be a power forward. But like I think Buzelis is also just a power forward. But I do think Asenge is showing better defense on the perimeter overall. And that's from just like time that I've seen with him in the G League and then also some time up here. But yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, him being 6'10", and like I know he's going to add muscle, which means that he might slow down. Like his foot speed might slow down, which is not a bad thing. It's just that like he just would have a little bit harder time guarding the perimeter. Because the way I looked at it is that like I think Asenge is going to be your on-ball defender, and like Buzelis is going to be your off-ball like rim protector. Like help defender, but it might not be that way. Like it might unfortunately just be that they're both just like power forwards and defensively because they don't have the foot speed to stay in front of like the perimeter guys, and that's where it leads to some weird stuff. And I don't know where the Bulls go from that, because then it's like we have to start talking about like, is Asenge maybe just a center? And I'm like, I don't think that's going to work out, but you know, if he adds a lot of muscle, who knows? I like Boozy on the second and the 3-4 just wings that switch. So the one thing that I will say that I've learned about Montes this year, as good as like I think his development has been, like first and foremost, his blocking ability has not gone anywhere. It's honestly been better than last season. Okay, Buzelis has done a very good job of help rotating this season and getting some block shots that way. He still has his moments where he misses rotations, but like I've seen him like take a step forward of like, okay, like he understands when to come over and help. And get those blocks like that. Like he's done a good job protecting the rim that way. I mean, hey, he's the team's leading shot blocker for a reason. What I will say though is that with the added weight that he's added, it has slowed him down a little bit on the perimeter. Like his rookie year, he definitely was able to stay in front of like small guard, or it's not in front, but like he was able to kind of keep up with small guards, and then his length was able to kind of like make up for his lack of foot speed. This year is definitely I do think he's kind of slowed down a step, like maybe like a half a step on his foot speed, and it's just because he's added weight. And so maybe this ends up honestly like, it'll get fixed once he kind of like grows into his body, gets used to the added muscle and everything. But I do think though that I am watching him, I'm like, okay, like he can, if like, if we don't have like a better option, like he can definitely, like if we need him to do it, like he could switch onto a guard. Like hell, he did it against James Harden today and it was just fine, right? But I would probably like to avoid that with him and allow him to kind of be like the roamer and like rim protector as like his main defensive ability, because he's shown that like very consistently so far early in his career, which is, again, that's still a very important thing on a team. Like you need that sort of guy. I'm just like looking at him now as like, instead of like him being like prime Giannis defensive player of the year where Giannis can guard like 1 through 5, like I'm more looking at him as like kind of like maybe like current Giannis, where like Giannis is kind of like the Giannis is kind of like just like the free safety for the Bucks right now. Like they'll put Giannis in like someone that's like not the best like overall offensive player, but like he's coming over and blocking shots like all over the place. That's why I'm like he might have to be more of that versus instead of him being like able to guard 1 through 5. Now again, we're gonna give him some time of like, okay, you're gonna add your muscle, like does your body kind of like catch up, and like who knows, like it might honestly he might just be fine. But I will say I do think that like him guarding some of like the smaller guards has been a little bit of an issue for him this season. And I do think that it's gonna be interesting just to see how he works on it. Bro, I saw Boozy smother Zubac and then guard Harden. Dude is a weird talent. Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if he was able to stop prime James Harden, then like I'm not having this discussion. But this is 36-year-old James Harden, and don't get me wrong, this James Harden's still very good. It's just that he just doesn't have the foot speed anymore that he used to have. Like Harden's a lot more like he's more methodical, and he has to use his strength now to kind of get his shots. And so if he's guarding a guard like that, like I don't think Buzelis has any issue. It's more so like when I was watching, for example, Buzelis have to guard Con Knipple this year against the Hornets. Like he had some issues, and I'm not saying that's easy. Like the way Knipple runs off screens like Klay Thompson is very hard to guard, but there's definitely still moments where I watch Buzelis and it's like, I'm like, oh, I thought you'd be able to kind of recover like on that drive, because again, I don't expect him to stay in front of like these smaller, faster guards. I just expect him to still be able to recover and kind of give him, make it like make the shot go off or make the shot weird or something like that. But I've definitely seen some blow-bys this year that I'm just a little bit like, huh. So again, I might be overreacting. Honestly, I might honestly be overreacting, but I'm like looking at him, I'm just like, okay, like your shot blocking is like an elite level still. Like that honestly, I think it's just gonna get better. Like I might just want you just to be the shot blocker moving forward, and we need to, like, the way I also put it this way is this, like, we can't expect Buzelis to guard everybody, right? Like this team needs to add like actually quality point of attack defenders in their starting lineup. And that will obviously make Buzelis look a lot better as well. But like the point of attack, like everybody top to bottom from this roster needs to get better, including Buzelis. But like to ask him, like I feel like just like asking him to guard, like, if you're gonna be switching like 1 through 4, and like you're basically asking him to guard the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a lot because he decided to switch that, or he's guarding Luka Doncic. I mean, maybe Luka would honestly be a pretty decent matchup because Luka doesn't have the speed, but guarding a Kate Cunningham, guarding a Donovan Mitchell, guarding a Tyrese Maxey, like these guys, I'm just like, it just doesn't feel like the best overall scenario for you to just like allow like a switch for that to happen, just like so willingly. So that's all I'm just saying. Like I think he's gonna have to either, again, he's gonna have to show me that like he's gonna grow into his body and it's just gonna be totally fine, or we'll just make sure we get some good point of attack defenders on the team, and we don't have to worry about it. The only issue, and this is just something that I think that some Bulls fans need to start considering here, Giddey on the roster, his lack of defensive ability is just like, it really does put the other guys in a really rough spot. Like, for example, against the Charlotte Hornets, you have to put Josh Giddey on Miles Bridges because Josh Giddey can't guard Brandon Miller or Con Knipple, right? But he's not good enough to guard any of the smaller guards on that team because he's too big, right? But he's not guarding any of the wings because those guys can still get past him. And so he has to guard basically the power forward, when I'm just like, Buzell should be guarding Miles Bridges. But instead, though, we put Josh Giddey on Miles Bridges. Like, I just... that sort of, like, limitation, it really does scare me moving forward. And this is my call, basically, just, like, Giddey needs to get better defensively. Like, I understand, like, he gets some steals every now and then, but, like, putting your team, like, your starting lineup in that sort of scenario already is just, like... I start losing my mind already, just like the start of it, because I'm just like, I mean, you're asking Kobe to guard the point guard on the other team because Giddey can't guard that guy, and I'm just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Kobe needs to work on his defense too, but it's just like it puts guys in harder spots. There's even right now, like there's a big discussion right now about Jalen Brunson going around on Twitter, and it's because he's such a small guard, and like defensively the New York Knicks have been like a horrific defensive team when he's out there. Now that hasn't been the case for the Bulls with Giddey, but it's not like their defense is like that good at all this season, so it's like it's not like they become like significantly worse, but the Bulls defense has just overall been bad this year. But I don't know, man, I get a little bit confused. His screen navigation needs work for sure. Buzell is 100%. Yes, I agree with that. I think that will also get better with time. I'm just more so talking about like the ISO scenarios. Is he top 10 in shot blocking this year? I believe it is top 10 for Buzelis. All right, hold on. Let me just. He's top 15. He's 11. So, I mean, nearly top 10. But, I mean, this is basically what I asked for. Like, if you go back to my prediction video, I said 14 points per game. I said, I think I said 1.3 blocks. Because that would get him into about the top 15 in blocks per game. And he's done just that. Like, I have no concerns, honestly. I think Buzelis is developing, honestly, at a very solid rate right now. I know people want more, but I'm just like, I don't think you should expect more, honestly. I think Buzelis has done everything that I've asked him to do and more this year. Now, would I like him to have the ball in his hands more? Yeah. But, people expecting this man to like somehow average 20 points per game, but like he doesn't have the ball. Like, he has the ball less than Kobe White, Trey Jones, I would assume, and Josh Giddey. Like, it'd be tough, right? Once we saw though guys go out, like he was getting some 20-point games in a row, but that's just not something that is going to happen unless he actually gets the ball sometimes and is able to run the pick and roll, and actually go ahead and lead a fast break. Like these sort of things are needed for him to develop. But Billy Donovan doesn't trust him, so it's hard for him to average more points per game. But like what he's done this year, I'm totally fine. Ugh. So yeah, I'm, moving forward with the Bulls is it's gonna be very weird, because like I do think that, I mean, trade deadline too. It's like you have to make a decision about Kobe. I've said this since the Bulls went on their terrible losing streak. After their 5-0 start, the Kobe, and once like Kobe came back and everything, I'm just like, the Kobe Giddey backcourt is just, it's not going to work for me. I think you do have to move on from at least one of them, and it looks like Kobe's going to be maybe the guy to go. However, I am just always saying, like, I know that some people want to get DB an All-Stars this season. I personally disagreed, even if he still played up until this point. It just, there's better international players just alone. But two, like, I understand that the numbers are what they are, but it's not like this man is like contributing to like heavily winning for this ball club. The Bulls are 6-7 without Josh Giddey this season. So if anything, it just feels like that they're just kind of just around the same. Now, that's not me saying that Giddey's not impactful. I'm just saying that I think that his impact is not as high as people are claiming it is. Because, people talk about, like, oh, he's the igniter to make this team have a bunch of assists per game, and the ball spreads around when he's out there on the floor. And I'm like, the Bulls have been totally fine passing the ball without Josh Giddey on the floor. Totally fine. Like, they're averaging 8. They had 40 assists tonight. Josh Giddey didn't play tonight, right? What Giddey does add, though, is his rebounding is very important. His three-point shot now is one of the better three-point shooters. He's not one of the better three-point shooters on the team, okay? And then his fast break navigation is impactful. However, him being one of like the top leaders in possessions per game, and he's still not averaging 20 points per game, to me is a problem. And it's just how he's built. Like, again, pass first point guard. So I'm just like, it's either he needs to adjust, and like, to me, I think he should just be launching threes at a high rate right now because his 3-point shot still is so good. But he's gonna have to still adjust to becoming a more scorer if he's gonna be, having the ball at all times. And that's just something that I think that the Bulls need to start considering. So it's either which a lot of people have talked about on this channel a lot, including Charles, who is Australian, have talked about like, oh, he might have to move to kind of being like a forward on this team or just more off ball, because you're not going to be relying on Josh Giddey to be your main ball handler if it's going to be trying to be come winning time, because you're going to need someone who's going to average a lot more points per game than what he's averaging right now. Okay. However, can he be a secondary ball handler and improve upon his defense and maybe launch more threes? Like, yeah, I think he could definitely be that. But his defense is going to need a lot of work. And unfortunately, like, even though like I know a lot of people are just like, oh, like, maybe he should have been All-Star this year. I'm not on that. I'm not on board on that. But like, if he's going to try to prove to me that he is worthy of being the main guy moving forward, the main ball handler, everything, these numbers have to go up. Like, I mean significantly. Like, again, you need to be averaging at least 20 points per game, at least in my opinion. He's not there right now. I know it's like, oh, 0.8 off Duncan, but like, to me, it should be easy. Like, if you were truly capable with the amount of possessions he's getting per game, okay, like, this needs to be higher. And I think that people that are saying like, oh, the Bulls need to build around, or they need to look to add to Josh Giddey leading the team, my argument to those people right now is saying that I think that the Bulls need to go and find players that are better than Josh Giddey currently is. Because I don't think that's crazy at all to say. Because unless Josh Giddey right now is an actual MVP caliber talent, which I think we can all agree that even if you think that he is all-star, that he is not currently MVP caliber right now, then the Bulls need to go and find more talent. That's just the truth. So until that happens, then we're not building around Josh Giddey. We need to add more talent. And you can definitely keep him. Like, I think he could be a very valuable piece moving forward, because I think his rebounding is extremely effective. I think his fast break navigation is extremely effective, and his 3-point shot right now is, one of the best on the team currently. So these are all very important things. But Do I want him to be running the pick and rolls, late game situation? Because like if you guys have not noticed, like Giddey for the most part this season has not been the he's not been the main ball handler in crunch time for the most part. Like it's usually Trey Jones is out there or it's Kobe White that does a lot of the ball handling. A lot of times Giddey's just kind of staying in the corner. More recently, before he did get injured, he did have some good games in the clutch. But it's not always like something that he does, like especially earlier on in the season, like he wasn't doing that, and that's when he was having his best games. But still, unfortunately, when it comes to this sort of stuff, I'm still looking at these numbers here, and I'm like, okay, bro, like this has got to get better. Like we can't have this moving forward when it comes to the pick and roll. That number needs to get up higher. For him. So again, if he's not going to be like this great pick and roll player, then let's move forward, and he can be effective in other areas of the floor. Because that's what I think he is. Like he's a jack of all trades player, but his 3-point shot now is like become like his biggest weapon, honestly. And I mean catch and shoot most, but his pull up has done pretty well this year. But I'm just interested in seeing what the Bulls decide, because I'm still very concerned moving forward how this team's going to operate, basically, because I just basically like, you can't bullshit your way to winning, in my opinion, and shortcutting, taking easy routes is just like, okay, we need to go and find a true like top level talent here. And as good as Giddey is, and as good as I think that maybe even Montes can be, like you should still go and search for these sort of things, because they're right now, at least for both of them currently. And hey, if you want to try to argue with me that they're not this, then okay, go ahead and do it. But as of right now, the Bulls don't have an all-star on the roster, like current all-star. I know Vucevic was an all-star before, but he's no longer an all-star now. But right now, the Bulls don't have an all-star on the roster, so it's hard to win that way, right? Hard to consistently win when you don't have an all-star on your roster. So very clearly shows like, hey, if you're on the boat of like, no, this Bulls team just needs time to develop, guys need to form chemistry, these guys just need to get time to develop, Buzel's gonna develop great. Okay, you know what? Cool. That's your overall opinion. I'm gonna disagree. I think that the Bulls still need to heavily add talent right now, because as good as that, I think maybe Montes can be an all-star. His odds of hitting all-star form, like, it's low. The team needs to still go out and get more two-way caliber players right now, and it's been a little bit hard, I think, for the Bulls recently to find consistently good two-way players that have stuck in their starting lineup. He had a good two-man game with that fast pass to Smith. Buzelis has shown me like pretty solid pick and roll ball handling, and with his passing ability out of it, like he's definitely shown, like we saw with Vucevic against, like I think it was against Orlando, like he was just passing, or maybe it was against New Orleans, but he was passing it pretty effectively. I think for Buzelis, like that's what I want to see more of, because that's going to truly help him develop into like a very solid on-ball threat and an engine to the offense, truly. Again, he only gets those opportunities if you're playing him and you're actually giving him those opportunities when the ball is in his hands. Like, it's just Billy Donovan, man. Billy Donovan, again, we officially just do not we do not support that man anymore. Woodage. How many double-digit wins do the Bulls have this season? 5 or more? 5 or more or less? I'm going to say 5 or more, I think. If I had to just kind of go off of just random guess. Let's see here. I like the scores, the way they do the schedule, because we just kind of scroll and just look. So we can count. All right. That's 1. That is 2. I don't know if I miss any. There's 3. There's 4. Sorry, my mouse is broken again. Okay, here's 4. And then tonight is already 5. Here's 6. 7. 8, 9. Oh yeah, I mean, we definitely surpassed that, yeah. Unfortunately, even though we've had, like, you know, these double-digit wins, the problem, unfortunately, is just that we've had a lot of L's that are just like, now, maybe tonight really did help this in this category, but no, unfortunately, we're still not. I mean, we're still negative 2.1, which is a plus minus traditional, and then net rating. This definitely got better, but it's still negative 2.4. I mean, like, we're talking about a team that is 8 games under 500 and 6 games under 500, and then like we're sandwiched in between. Like, yeah, I don't like. It's the Portland Trailblazers are 500, so like we're kind of like on par with them. But yeah, that's where we're at. That many double-digit wins, more than I thought with all those close games. Yeah, I mean, we've been in a hell of a lot of clutch games, which is like, it's so weird to look at that, because it's like, to me, that just tells me like we're mid. But like, you know, in some scenarios, like, you could argue like, no, this is good. You know, Detroit, obviously, like, they've been in a lot of clutch games this year, but like they're also 18-8 in those scenarios because Kate Cunningham is incredible. But like, when I look at this number, right, if you go to clutch games and you go to games played, right, like the Dallas Mavericks have been in the most this season, and they're not a good team, right? Like they're like mid at best. Portland is 500. Like, not shocking. Then there's the Pistons, who are at the top of the league, but then there's us. Memphis has had a very underwhelming season. Like, they're just like 500 basically, or even worse. Philly they're slightly over 500. Cavaliers have had a rough overall season for their standards, but they're slightly over 500. They're just above us in the standings, I believe. No, sorry, Miami is. I forgot about Miami. But Cavaliers are 4 games over. Yeah, weirdly enough, Miami is not up here. They're down here. But I guess with Miami, it's just like they either win by a lot or lose by a lot. That just seems to be the theme for them this year. Then here's Milwaukee, who again is like not having a good year. So, like, to me, if like most of what this chart, like, or what these stats say is like, if you're playing a lot of clutch games, you're just mid. For the most part. Like, I mean, I feel like Atlanta should also be up here, but they're not really. Bulls have done well. I mean, 14-11 is honestly pretty solid in clutch games. But even with that being said, like, our plus minus in clutch games is still negative 0.5. So yeah, we're just like barely squeezing out these games. Like, you know, the Vucevic game winner, you know, in Portland comes to mind, right? The Utah game that we just had recently, like, that one comes to mind, where it's just like, so yeah, unfortunately the numbers say that the Bulls are like, they're not on a good track record right now, because like they're playing above their standard. However, I do think though that we're still gonna, like, because the projected wins for what I've seen is still like 35-36. Which is what I guess 36 wins. Now, I think we're gonna get more than that. Like, at this rate, like, I still think we're on pace to, like, the typical 39-40 win season, which is just so. I hate that we're gonna be on path for that, but I can really see it happening. I think, because I think the Bulls have had enough overall clutch wins this year where it's gonna be in our favor. To win a few more games than maybe we shouldn't have. Bulls need a trade bad, but who knows if AK would do it. Yeah, I mean, reports are coming out that like AK is like more willing than ever, which I don't know what that exactly means, but like they're more willing than ever. He's more willing than ever to actually go ahead and make deals and like kind of blow things up a little bit. But again, we're not gonna believe it until we actually see this happen. And going towards mediocrity, in my opinion, is just not good. Like, I don't really celebrate that as much of an achievement, especially because, I mean, Vucevic has like carried us to some victories recently. Like, that doesn't really mean much to me. Now in this game, I think this is definitely a little bit more of like tonight, what we saw tonight. Like, this is definitely a little bit more of a meaningful type of win. We had some young players, obviously, like Buzelis, Kobe, that I looked at as the core that, significant games tonight. Io, Trey Jones, these guys also had some significant games tonight. Sorry, Jesus. But Vooch, he also had a pretty good game, but I wouldn't say he's the reason for the win, right? But that Utah game, for example, I would argue Vooch was why we won that game. That's just not a win that I feel pretty satisfied about. This game was just what the hell is this? This is just a weird game. But 35-point night, great for Vooch. Don't get me wrong. I'm just doesn't really mean too much to me. So yeah, looking forward to get Giddey back. I think will help kind of make some wins feel better if the Bulls do go and win some of these games. But it will also, I think, hopefully give us a nice little kind of understanding of where this Bulls team is at with their backcourt. Because if Kobe's going to start playing well and, Giddey's back and everything, we'll get a little bit of a read before the trade deadline to maybe see what we got to do with Kobe. Vooch is the GOAT? Yeah, he is definitely the GOAT in some sort of fashion when it comes to this Bulls team. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning into this Bulls post-game stream. I'm going to have to go ahead and end stream, though, soon because I'm tired. Yeah, I'm still kind of dealing with what I got going on here with my sinuses, so I'm starting to kind of feel it. So I do apologize to end it. I don't really want to end it, but I got to end it here. All right, so let's talk about this next game. So I don't feel very good about this matchup at all for the Bulls. Even if Giddey plays in this, I don't feel good about this. Next game is against Timberwolves in Minnesota. Assuming Anthony Edwards is there, Timberwolves are still pretty much healthy for what I've seen. Gobert's had a very nice year overall. Nasri killed us last game. I don't feel good about this one at all. I am definitely very worried this is going to just be a spanking to us, unfortunately. And we're going to have a rough time on this one. First and foremost is because Gobert defensively is going to wreck our interior presence, I feel like. And the Bulls have been big on that, of getting into the paint and scoring there. So that's going to be a little tough for us to score. Now, if the three-point shooting lasts that we saw tonight, then yeah, you can win any game. But, depending on 25 threes to be made every single game is going to be pretty tough to do. So, I do think that this is going to be a pretty rough one. But, looking forward just to watching this game in general, though. Get to see some Montes Buzelis against Julius Randle, for example. We're going to see someone guard Anthony Edwards, probably Isaac Okoro. Yeah, just maybe I'm gonna hope Giddey is back for this because it'll be, we want as big of a sample size with this backcourt together before the trade deadline. So hopefully Giddey plays. That'll be good to see. And yeah, we'll see what happens in this one. I want to just see some success from the individual play from the younger players, and hopefully the Bulls just don't give up a ton of points in the interior. Let's just give that as a team-wide goal. 7 p.m. Central Time is the game. 9:30 p.m. post-game stream on this channel. So go ahead and be here after the game. I don't feel good about the Bulls, honestly, winning at all in this one. But who knows? They just beat a Western Conference foe tonight, but Clippers are not the Timberwolves, unfortunately. So yeah, looking forward just to watching just Anthony Edwards just play, though. He's an absolute joy to watch, and we'll see how the Bulls fare in this one. But with that being said, though, thank you guys so much for tuning into this post-game stream. Thank you for all the support all season long. It truly does mean a lot. Yeah, the discussions are awesome. I thoroughly enjoy talking to all of you, and it's been an absolute joy. So thank you guys so much for supporting me throughout the year. If you've not hit the like button on the stream, please do. Helps me out a lot. If you're new to the channel, Bulls content, please subscribe. I posted a new article, by the way, so if you want to go ahead and check that out, it is posted in the community tab. So if you have not read that, go ahead and click the link and you can go ahead and read that. Appreciate all the support with the articles this year. It's been good. Yeah, I'll see you guys on Thursday, okay? All right, y'all. Have a good night. Please be safe. Please be safe. I'll see y'all Thursday, all right? Peace out. Thank you.